2022 was the year that the NRA lost its myth of invincibility. 51 gun safety laws were enacted in 13 states this year as public attitudes solidified in favor of common sense gun reform. And at the federal level, President Biden signed the first bipartisan gun safety bill in 3 decades.
I was there 30 years ago, the last time this nation passed meaningful gun safety laws, and I'm here today for the most significant law to be passed since then. God willing, it's going to save a lot of lives.
The law strengthens background checks and adds funding for red flag laws. The passage of the law was especially notable because many GOP senators felt more pressure to support it than to oppose it. 15 Republican senators backed the bill, including Mitch McConnell, who admitted that public support for gun safety was, quote, overwhelming. Joining me now is Nick Saplina, Senior Vice President for Law and Policy at the Everytown Gun Safety Group. He testified before Congress last summer after the Uvalde, Texas massacre. Nick, it's always so good to see you. Look, the NRA, it filed for bankruptcy in 2021, but a judge ultimately ruled that filing was done in bad faith, dismissed the case. There was constant media coverage of the organization's financial mismanagement and incompetence. Are lawmakers finally losing their fear of the NRA as it seems to be losing its own power?
Well, it would certainly seem so. I mean, if you look back 10 years ago to the failed congressional vote after the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre, you had the NRA running circles around politicians, creating a climate of fear in Washington, and honestly, a climate of pessimism elsewhere in the country. You know, if you can't pass a law after this horrible tragedy, you never will. And for many, you know, the gun safety movement was declared over. But 10 years later, I mean, can you imagine? We have 15 Republican senators recognizing the strength of our movement. One Republican senator that voted for the bill said the calls he received were 10-1 in favor of the Safer Communities Act. We've built the infrastructure, we've built the public support, we've built the political power to make a vote like that happen. And as you stated, you know, the fight is very much in the states too, where we're winning, not only passing gun safety laws that'll save lives, but also defeating gun lobby priority bills, you know, last year, 95% of the time. So we have a lot to be happy about, a lot to be proud of. And in no small part, the NRA does not have a lot to be happy about.
You know, and I would say, Nick, part of the success is the fact that activists, in a very savvy way, have also changed their approach to the words being used, saying gun safety instead of gun control. Do you think that one word change has actually made a difference?
You know, I think how we talk about gun safety does matter. I think who is talking about gun safety matters. And I think one of the things we've learned over the last 10 years is we have to meet people where they are. They've been told by the NRA a lot of disinformation, a lot of lies about what the gun safety movement is really all about. And so by changing the words, what we really do is we just allow the conversation to happen. Look, the public has long overwhelmingly supported the policies that we support at Everytown and that are supported across the country. We've had the public there, but they've been told gun control is here to take your guns, and that's just simply never been true. By changing the words, we're allowing a conversation to happen. That conversation is happening across the country, and honestly, it has made a difference at the ballot box as well. You know, gun safety was a top 3 issue this year among voters and key voters. Swing voters, independent voters in particular. So, you know, for us, the words do matter. Whatever allows us to better communicate common sense policy is the words we're going to use.
I mean, let's be clear, though, Nick, it hasn't been all progress for gun safety. One setback on the issue came from the conservative supermajority Supreme Court this year, which increased the chances of success for gun rights proponents to challenge existing gun restrictions in our states. What continuing effect, Nick, do you expect to see from that ruling?
Well, the Bruen decision was wrong. It was dangerous.
Yeah.
It's also very confusing. I've never seen a constitutional standard like the historical standard that the Supreme Court announced. And the district courts are all over the place on what the decision will mean. To be honest, it's going to be a year, maybe more, before we really understand the true scope of Bruen. And the thing that's clear is that it's vague enough that it opens the door for gun extremism. It opens the door for litigants and courts that really want to do damage to gun safety laws, highly popular laws enacted by democratically elected representatives are definitely vulnerable. But let me tell you something that I'm confident about the Bruen decision. We're going to be ready. We proved that we can be ready when 6 days after the Supreme Court handed down this decision, we enacted a bill in New York State that soup to nuts addressed the Bruen decision, kept New York, I should say, safe, kept guns out of sensitive places, places where there are children or crowds, and did the right thing. And we're going to do that. We're here for the fight. We're not going to change our strategy in the states. We're going to keep enacting popular, life-saving laws that are consistent with the Constitution. And we're going to keep fighting in the courts to make sure that judges and later justices agree with us.
Nick Suplina, thanks for being here for the analysis, the insight, and I too also wish you a very happy new year. I appreciate you.
Same to you. Thank you.